Well, everyone, welcome to the Big Picture Manatee. We're excited to be here. It is 2025. Can you guys believe it? We got
And
it. I can't either. I'm Sherry Corday, part of this great team with the Big Picture Manatee. Hey, Misty, tell everybody all your stuff.
thank you, Sherry. I'm so happy to see you guys too. Happy New Year again. 2025 is here. I'm Misty Servia. I am a former county commissioner for Manatee County and currently a business owner and working for DeSoto County as their planning director.
Happy New Year, everyone. Alive in 25. My name is Reggie Bellamy, and I am a former county commissioner of District 2 and a lot of other things that I do in the community. Proud veteran of the United States Army. Excited to be here.
I feel sorry for 2024. It really ended up a dud with everything that happened from like late August all the way through to the end of the year. It was crazy with all the hurricanes and everything that was happening. So great hopes for 2025. So today we're going to talk about great hopes for 2025 for a new Board of County Commissioners here in Manatee County. We got a glimpse of some things that are going to change, or in my opinion, revert back to the way some things used to be done when you guys were commissioners, but with a little twist of extra things on each of them. So, I'm going to turn to my colleague Misty and say, hey, did you tune in this week? And did you get some exciting vision of what might be to come?
Well, unfortunately, I never have the time to watch it live, but I do always go back and figure out what's going on, and I listen to all the online discussions, and I have to say that I'm very pleased with the way that 2025 is starting off. The Board of County Commissioners, as you said, is reverting back to sanity and good governance. And I think the thing that excites me the most is that everyone, or the majority, seem to be willing to engage with the public, listen to the public, and give them the opportunities that they deserve. I love that we're talking about 5 minutes of public comment time.
Yeah.
3, that's a really good change. I'm also happy to hear we're going to have public comment at the beginning and at the end of these agendas. Facebook is back on board for the Manatee County government with comments. And, it's just a really great reflection of, I think, all the pendulum swinging too far and cutting people off. And now we're back to where it should be and allowing people to speak and be heard.
Yeah.
But I got a different take on it. It seems like the good doctor is preparing for surgery. It really does. Just listen to some of the things that's going on with Commissioner McCann and some of the way he's looking at things. You can tell there are a lot of different, shifts that may be able to take place right here. But here's the thing that I'm thinking about. It kind of reminds me of a basketball game, right? You're having the momentum and it shifts. And sometimes it shifts offensively and sometimes it shifts defensively. Right now, it seems that we're no longer on the defense from the commissioner standpoint. They may be on the offense and looking at some things a little bit different on the behalf of the community. On the behalf of the community, some of those reversals that are out there that could potentially take place are going to be very, very interesting. So I'm excited to sit back and watch. And I'm never going to be too critical, but I'm always going to be over observant to see what's actually going to take place. But this is going to be interesting based on some of the things that are out there right now.
Yeah. This might sound weird, but I've always, in the last few years, watched how the meetings were minimized, both in time, discussion, and public information. And this week, we saw there an extension and full time for everyone, all 7 commissioners, to speak if they wanted or talk about what they wanted, and then for the public to be involved. And, to me, that's what a commissioner and a county administrator's job is to prepare for a meeting that openly discusses all the items on the agenda that the public's funds are going to be used for, whether it's a very brief passing of an item or it's a more in-depth with discussion, because we know that the only time you as commissioners are really allowed to speak together is in the public at those meetings. And so, I mean, I know that sounds strange, but I thought, okay, here we are. There's a debate going on. There's a discussion going on, but everyone's being given their time. So I really liked seeing that this week. I like you said, Misty, actually, adding that time to the quasi judicial type items, for more of a longer opportunity is something I don't think that had been done before to that extent. So that's really cool as well.
It is. And how about, the 10-day notice of the agenda? Now, I do think that's going to be a little bit difficult. I applaud them for doing that, but having a land use agenda available and finalized 10 days before a meeting is going to mean that a lot of projects aren't put on the agenda because they're not quite ready. Because as you guys remember, I mean, we were working definitely up until the last minute to get it out a week in advance. And then of course it changed to only be out a couple days in advance or maybe a couple hours. 7 days is a really good amount of time and very difficult to meet that. And I think 10 days is going to be rough, but I applaud them for trying.
Well, I think the effort is something definitely we have to keep out in front of us, and more for a commissioner to kind of lay out their priorities and let the public know, what the intent and how it's going to potentially impact the public where they can be involved. I think that's very, 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 very good, to be honest with you. However, that opens up another question. What's the thought of some of the other commissioners? I mean, Commissioner Cruz is allowed to identify things that he wants to focus on, but so are the other commissioners as well. What are they thinking as far as how they're going to make sure that the public is involved and that the public is heard and that the public is a priority? I think that's very, very important for the other commissioners to come and lay out as well. So I'm curious on how that's going to take place.
Yeah, I'm hoping that the public will work with the commission and the staff on getting to this actual time frame, because as you both are stating, that's a great goal to get started with, but there's so many other factors, especially on land use, right? Whether there's a closing that's being set that we don't have control over, but it can be done. Like I think you're saying too, Misty, is it might take a while to get into the right rhythm. Everybody's going to have to move their calendar up to be more prepared. What I really, again, this is like me, what I really loved was the fact that they talked about requiring more detailed information on the agenda items.
Yes.
I have been so challenged. People contact me and will say, would you read this agenda item and tell me what they're doing? And I would go in and I would look and I would be like, there's nothing here. We don't know what they're doing, but to go, and there's a reason for this, that why I'm in favor of going back to very detailed agenda items, because it's a historical document. So
right.
10 years from now, any new staff person 10 years from now, any citizen, any commissioner, new or old, goes back and reads the detail of what was supposed to be provided. And that used to be a staple of what staff did. I mean, literally, as the deputy county administrator, our jobs then used to be read every agenda, make sure that everything is in the agenda, or reject it in the system, send it back to the department director and tell them to work on it and get it right. And sometimes that's why an item might have been delayed getting to the agenda, because all the details weren't there. So I'm super excited about that. But I do want to give kudos to one department that's near and dear to my heart, and that's Community and Veteran Services, because I see their agendas and they've still continued to have put all the detail in there, because a lot of theirs is based on grant work and a lot of it's based on contract management. And I'm going to commend Tracy Adams, because I know she looks at those, because she's the deputy, one of the deputies there, and she knows from way back when. So, to me, this is really great, because now you can't just throw an agenda item on there. You got to explain what you're going to do. So I'm excited about that.
Yeah. Oh, I'm so glad that you acknowledge that department. Good job. And I know that you know exactly what they're up against. Thank you for mentioning the history too, because that historical aspect of what county government does, or what any department within it does, is so important that you can look back 5 years from now, 10 years from now, and understand what was done, because you'll be in a different place later. So yeah, that I agree. That's super important. Hey, what do you guys think about some of the 180-degree shifts we've seen from a couple commissioners? As an optimistic person, I'm hopeful that they're achieving more of an understanding, and maybe finding themselves, and becoming less influenced maybe by outside forces. I don't know exactly how to explain it, but it does concern me. And Sherry, you've said this before, when someone is so easily influenced, because we're seeing completely different personalities with a couple of these commissioners. And I encourage them, keep doing the right thing. Growing and doing better is a wonderful thing, and not criticizing you for that. But, sometimes you have to acknowledge what has gone wrong as you make steps forward to change that. I think Commissioner Ron so far has dug his heels in, as one of the papers reported, and is not really following that lead. I hope that he changes his tune, because District 4, which is what I represented, those people need representation. The oldest district in Manatee County, and some of the most needy people in the county too. So I really encourage him to take a step back and look at what the job requires and who you're representing.
Yeah, I mean, acknowledgement and accountability. I think all that's very, very important. I think one of our friends put on Facebook is, it's like somebody had an epiphany, right? And it's where all of a sudden things change. And I don't really go detail their specific names, but I will want, whoever represents, the Robonia area, to take in consideration that you still have people out there in need, just the same way you say District 4 needs representation. The underserved and underprivileged needs representation as well. But here's what I thought about when you said that. It reflected back to me. My African American history class. Malcolm X. If you don't know what you stand for, you'll fall for anything. And here's where we are, right? Here's where we are, and there's nothing wrong with cleaning up spilled milk. I'm going to say that again. There's nothing wrong with cleaning up spilled milk, but be willing to cleaning up, and be willing to clean it up and say, hey, I made a mistake. I need to clean this up. I'm not talking specifically just to commissioners. I'm talking to society as a whole, because you're not going to be perfect. You're going to make some mistakes, but the impact from the commissioner's standpoint and some of the things that have taken place, we have a lot of things that they're going to try to take and rearrange or do differently now, based on what has taken place in the last 3 to 4 years, I think. How about somebody acknowledging that there were some mistakes made? How about somebody saying, listen, you know what? I need to hold myself accountable. I was wrong here. Because if you don't hold yourself accountable, there are some other people, whether they're looking, through a focus lens or telescope, or if they already have 2020, they're looking at you, and they want to know what type of representation that you're going to bring to the table. So that's where I'm at with all of it. What do you stand for? That's a good question.
Yeah, it's a great question. It's a great question. that's why we're here today, right? To talk about 2025, and we're in the early stages, and what do they stand for? And we're starting to see a little glimpse of it. But the good news about the big picture manatee is we have the ability to track that and help that for the people. What I love about what has transpired in the last couple of years is, when we used to have meetings and we'd have comment, it'd probably be the same 3 or 4 people. Now those 3 or 4 people are joined by 10, 20 plus more people that are tuning in. And the fact that I think they're looking at more discussion means that a person, has more opportunity in a day to like tune in to a particular subject, or they know they're going to be heard. It's like, I know I always have read every single written comment that was put in the agenda, right? And I know you guys did too. When people would send in their written comments, you would read all those before you had their discussion. I just never felt like those were taken into consideration at all in the last few years, especially because agenda items were placed on really quickly and nobody had an opportunity to really look at them and do that. So that's something I'm really excited about, and just the interest in the community. Now, I know we've talked about these things today that we're going to start to see, and I know we also are going to come back and talk about some other things that have been brought up but not dealt with yet. And I'm just going to let our viewers know a few of those topics right now before we close out for today. And that is, definitely there was discussion about the facility investment fees and how those might be increased so they could cover real cost. Also talk about the future area development boundary line, and whether it what to do with it. Like, I'm gonna say Misty's thinking in her head, like, okay, what are they gonna do with that? The animal welfare and the retail ban. They, talking about reversing the reversal. I mean, those are some things, as well as talking also about just the other kinds of things that citizens are, concerned about, especially the wetland buffer, and how we have Dr. McCann, who's an attorney, on here now, and he seems to be really geared up for every meeting to kind of use that knowledge that he has. So I know we wanted all of our viewers to know other topics. There's so many, right? There are so many.
There are so many, and those are the really good priorities of the board that you've mentioned. The future development area boundary is something that they have taken too much liberty with allowing development beyond it, in my opinion. And the reason that I say that mostly is for financial reasons, because we've got to be able to budget for the impacts, and we've got to know where that line in the sand is, especially for utilities. And when you look at districts like my former district and Reggie's former district, you're not going to get redevelopment of those areas and infill development if you allow people to go past that line. And it's just a matter of simple economics, because land is cheaper out there. Developers will buy that land. You can get larger chunks and you can just make more money. That's how simple it is. It's more difficult to do redevelopment and infill development, but it's something that Manatee County needs. So I hope that they'll go back to holding that line. I look forward to the animal welfare discussion as well. We spent so much effort, and boards before us spent so much effort trying to do the right thing for animal welfare. And we got there while Reggie and I served, only for it to be reversed. And that was the wrong decision. So I hope that they undo that terrible decision. And, it looks like we're headed in that direction, you guys. So I'm really optimistic. We're going to have lots of detailed discussions on that stuff in the future.
Yeah.
Yeah, the animal services, and I heard the other day that they're preparing to close the one down in Palmetto, and actually growing up right across the ditch from it. That's actually good news, because I know that it's very, very aged. But the reversal of the retail ban and the work that was done, I think that was horrendous for them to actually go in that direction. And I'm just being honest with you, and I'm not taking a shot at individuals. I'm taking a shot of the subject matter and what actually took place. But we do know individuals are the cause of that. So I don't have a problem aligning myself with that. And then the thoughts as far as the impact on the wetlands and that coming back around. I think that's going to be very, very, very interesting. That's going to be one to watch. And there's some type of momentum, out there to try to slow development down. Now, me personally, I think we really need to look at everything from how are we going to impact our traffic, because that's what the real issue is. A lot of people have the heartaches because of how long they have to sit in the traffic with the roads. I mean, Manatee County allegedly has been doing it wrong. It depends on the opinion and everything like that. In my mindset, I think that's going to be very, very important how we look at that. And that comes back, with the comp plan, the land use, and then the whole infrastructure approach. When you're talking about that line in the sand out there, you have to talk about the infrastructure. But I don't think we talk about infrastructure far east and don't talk about the infrastructure in the immediate in the core of the community where the traffic is being impacted. That's going to bring the bridge conversations up and things like that. So yes, we have a lot of conversation take place.
Yeah. Those are things that really matter to the people, right? They're hard too. Like you said, they're hard decisions to make. They're expensive. There's no 100% right decision that everybody's going to get on board with. So, those kinds of things will be difficult to talk about. But I think couple of words I heard you guys saying for 2025 are reversal and undo. And so I think a lot of what we're trying to talk about is how some things, going to be either brought back to either reverse it or to change it, undo it, reestablish it. So 2025 going to be a fun year, and love that we got a chance to kind of go over some of the first changes that are being put out there by the board. And we'd like to invite everybody back because you heard a lot of the other topics that are big ones that impact you as a citizen. So I want to thank everybody for tuning in today. And you can always find us on the bigpicturemanatee.com. You can find us on YouTube at the Big Picture Manatee, and also on some of your favorite podcasts. So thanks, everybody. Bye, Misty. Bye, Reggie. Have a great rest of your January.
Great to see you guys, and thank you to the public.
Alive in 25.
Right.
All right. See ya.